Hello, welcome to Salt and Light Canning. I'm Jessica. This is my kitchen. I'm happy that you're here. Today I am making onion soup. You may have seen in videos, what we do is we buy like a 50-pound bag of onions because where we live it's about $15 to $20 for 50 pounds of onions. And we process them and freeze them in just freezer bags. So I'm making onion soup. It's the first part of November, and my son really loves onion soup when I make it, but also it is a great gravy base for like your holiday meals. So I've just taken out some onions this morning, and I'm gonna start with about half a stick of butter. Get that in there. And I'm gonna add just a little bit of oil because that'll help our butter not to scorch. And because I'm going to be canning this, I don't want to add a lot of fat, but I do want a little bit of butter and a little bit of oil. Then I'm going to put my onions in my roaster. And they're still very frozen. Right, now that I've got my onions in the pot, I'm going to go ahead and turn it on to about 350. And I'm going to add a little bit of salt. This is just kosher salt. And this will help my onions to cook down. I'm going to put my lid on and I'll be back in a little bit after my onions have started cooking down. So my onions have cooked down. So I'm going to add some seasoning. I'm going to start off with some of the W sauce that I can't pronounce. That's probably about a quarter cup. I don't have like just straight rosemary and thyme, so I'm going to use some herbes de Provence. That's probably about 2 tablespoons. And do a little bit of celery seed. It's probably about a teaspoon. Do a couple of bay leaves. And then some of the barbecue seasoning that I like. That's probably about 3 tablespoons. Then some red wine vinegar. That's about a quarter cup. And some garlic. About 7 tablespoons of garlic. I'm going to fill my pot with filtered water. I'll be back when I add some bouillon. All right, so my pot is full of filtered water, and I'm going to add some of this better than bouillon, beef bouillon. If I still had some beef broth on the shelf, I would have just used beef broth, but I'm out. So this is what I'm using. Just gonna let everything come together in the pot. I'll taste it, and I'll probably add just a little bit of brown sugar, and then we'll be just about ready to can. There is, by the way, just nothing better when you're doing soup or tomato sauce or anything, broth, when you're canning anything that you just need a big like crock pot for. I highly recommend getting one of these like turkey roasters. It makes your canning so much easier. Anyway, I'll be back in just a little bit after this has had time to get warm and for all of our flavors to come together. We are very close to being ready to put in a jar. I'm gonna add about probably 2 teaspoons or so of brown sugar. Not a lot, just something to balance the acid and the salt. Okay. Let me taste our soup. That tastes really good. All right, I'm gonna get set up to put this in jars, and I'll be back in just 1 second. I'm gonna get my onion soup in jars. It tastes like onion soup, which is like garlic and onions and beef broth. So like I said, I usually use this as like a gravy base for making homemade gravy. So I'm going to be canning in quarts. I don't normally can in quarts for soup, but because my intended purpose is not necessarily to eat a bowl of onion soup, my son will do that, but that's not my intended purpose. We're gonna fill to 1 inch of headspace, and we're gonna be pressure canning our soup. And my jars are clean. I just pulled them out of the dishwasher. Everything's been clean. We're gonna get our soup in jars. Now try to make sure you get enough liquid with your solids. So you need about a 50-50 ratio of liquid to solids. Right, debubble really well. You just have those chunks of onions and garlic in there. I have some white vinegar, and I'm gonna wipe the rim of my jar really well because we do have a little bit of oil and butter in our soup and a little bit of sugar. So I wanna make sure that I don't have anything between the ring, the lid, and the jar so it can seal really well. Onion soup. Everything looks better in a jar. Please let me know what kinds of things you're canning, what you're doing in your kitchen. I love to hear from you. So thankful and blessed. All right, I have 7 quarts of soup in my 16-quart Presto pressure canner. I absolutely love this pressure canner. It is my favorite, especially when I'm doing quarts. So I absolutely recommend the Presto pressure canners. They're amazing. My stove is on low. I'll turn it up in just a minute. Just wanted to keep everything hot. And put the lid on. And turn it up a little over medium, but not high. I'm going to let this heat up, and I want it to vent with steam out of this little vent right here for 10 minutes. Then I'll put my weight on and I'll let it come up to pressure. And I'm gonna can at 15 pounds of pressure for my altitude for 75 minutes. I'll be back when I'm taking them out. Well, everything has finished processing and the timer went off, turned everything off, and I've let everything come down from pressure on its own very naturally. I've been waiting a few minutes before I take the jars out. I ended up with 17 jars of soup, so I'm just taking things slow. I ended up taking out my second canner, but always, 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 I'm going to encourage you, take it slow when you're taking anything out of your canner, okay? Just give it a few minutes. It's really late. I do have one more load to process, but I'll do that tomorrow. Also, don't ever leave your food in the canner overnight to cool off in the canner. Just don't do it. If it gets really late and you're not done, set a timer to remind yourself to wake back up and go take care of the canner, okay? Just don't leave it. It won't like make you sick, but it will make your food taste really bad, and then you probably won't want to eat it. And then what is the point of doing all that you've been doing anyway, right? Okay, so I'm going to take them out. And they are just bubbling away. I do have some siphoning, but it's not bad. And these are going to sit here on my counter and relax and seal and have a good night. And tomorrow I'll come in and take the rings off and check the seals and wash the jars and put them in the pantry. Soup season, I guess. But be so blessed. Know that you're loved and be a blessing to someone else. I'll see you in the next video.